It's the holy grail for many. Wing foiling in super light winds. I used to have a big 9 square meter wing as my light wind weapon, but that only got me so far. So recently I pulled the trigger on a different super light wind setup, a downwind board, and a fairly large high aspect foil. In this video, I want to tell you about my first impressions with the new setup. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Welcome to Rematic. So my new setup consists of a Gong Cruzader 7.0 board, and it has 122 liters of volume, and the Gong Sirus XXL foil, which is 156 centimeters wide, so that is definitely a big boy. This gear was recommended to me by the Gong advisors for my 88 kilograms of body weight and the objective of foiling in winds from 5 to 10 knots. The day that I tested the downwind board, I got to the beach and I measured 9 to 13 knots of wind. So at first I went out with the downwind board and my old foil, which is also a high aspect foil, the Fluid XL, which is 112 centimeters wide. And when I first went out, I was up on foil super easy. I had a bit of a gust, but then fairly soon the wind dropped again. I think the wind dropped below 6 knots several times during my day, and I fell out of the sky. Basically, it was not possible with that foil anymore. It is more of a struggle than with conventional boards, because the board, of course, being so narrow, it rolls more easily when the chop hits it. Sometimes you have a tough time, just standing up. If there's no power in the wing, when you don't get up on foil, it's just not that enjoyable. You will see also in the video that taking off can be quite the effort. You try to generate some speed, you pump a lot with the wing to get the board out of the water so that there's less drag and you can accelerate more with the foil. With very little power in the wing, that's hard. So you're lifting up and then you're touching back down, and you do that several times, sometimes like 5 times. So you do need a certain wind speed. So with that smaller foil, I think I definitely prefer using that setup if there is above 10 knots of wind. And then I went in for the first time with that big foil, and boy, was it an adjustment at first. So first impressions, when you're up on foil, you're definitely slower, but it's really not that bad. You can still generate some speed, and but you really feel this massive lift that this foil generates, and you need to learn to control that when getting up on foil, when lifting up. I had the issue that I would let the foil come up and let the board come up too early when it didn't have enough speed. This big foil has a certain trajectory and it keeps that, and you just fall off backwards kind of, or sideways. And so I needed to learn to really control it well with like lots of front foot pressure to keep the board down, generate some speed, and then lift up in a controlled fashion. And so for the first 20-30 minutes, I struggled with it, also with the jibes. It wasn't so easy, and I fell in sometimes. But then all of a sudden, a flip switched in my brain, and then I was used to it, and it worked. I was able to make turns. At first, I was trying to make the turns very big I thought this would be better with such a large foil. But it turned out that, if you drive through the turns and make them a bit smaller, it actually works better and it works fine. So I was surprised how small I could make the turns with this big foil. One benefit of it was actually with the foot switch, because the foil is, so stable and doesn't react so much to little movements like other smaller foils. When you do the foot switch, the whole platform is more stable. That's a plus. And of course, the liftoff is a different story with that foil. With fairly little wind, you can lift off directly. You don't need to have this kind of long pumping sequence with touchdowns that you need to have with the smaller foil. So for just getting up and in light winds, it's more comfortable for sure. Then I also tried to pump this foil, so to bring the wing down, to flag it, and to pump this foil just with my legs. And in the beginning, that was a bit hard because I was still getting used to it. At some point, and with a bit of practice, I was able to do it. I was able to pump it. Some first impressions also when I first unpacked the wing is that it's quite heavy. Of course, we have this high modulus carbon and lots of material in that wing to make it that big, and it needs to be very stable. It's heavy. I'm also using the Gong Titanium fuselage. That's what they recommend for these very large wings. I've heard from people that actually broke normal aluminum fuselages with these very large wings, and of course you don't want to do that. And of course this titanium fuselage is also a heavy piece of equipment, but very sturdy. This new Sirus front wing looks super nice. It's just a very beautiful piece of engineering. It looks very hydrodynamic, and I'm really looking forward to trying it out some more, and to really push the lower limit of, super light wind foiling. I want to really try it out on days where you have this constant 5 to 8 knots breeze, maybe in summer, where I think this is going to be a really good piece of gear to have. So if you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.